Crazybear found this horn, and it's a different sound. So if I hear that in the mountain, I know he's communicating something to me, and then it's up to me to figure out what it is. Hi, everybody. It's Rob with Yoro Adventures. We're going to do a quick walk around on our machines. We both have a Polaris Sportsman 570 touring, but I kind of want to talk a little bit about the different machines because they're different year models, and so there's slight differences. So let's start off with mine. So I got the green one. My touring is 2016 Sportsman 570 touring with non-power steering. So you have an option of having it with power steering or not having power steering. It has all-wheel drive and two-wheel drive options. The engine size is a 570, so Polaris likes to name their vehicles off of their engine size. So if you have a Sportsman 1000, it's a 1000 cubic inch or 1000 cc engine. I have the 570, and I can tell you, I think I have close to over 4,000 miles on this. I've never had a need for anything more than the 570. It would be nice to have a little bit more, but needless to say, about my machine specifically is on the front. I built this bumper. Actually, there's a video on our YouTube channel that covers a little bit about this bumper and how I built it. I have two wide angle LED lights that are plumbed in, and as you can see, they're super bright, high intensity light. I think they have a total of 6 LEDs, and each one's cranking out about 2,000 to 3,000 lumens. So between the two, I have 12 LEDs, and what is that? Close to 6,000 to 7,000 lumens in total. And I also made it so that way it didn't interfere with my headlights. So these are the standard lights. Polaris puts a headlight up on the handlebar, and this is for the high beams. So if you run high beams, you only get light from this, and you don't get light down here. So that's why I kind of maneuvered it or set it up where I have the LED as well. So if we come up over here, and I definitely need new tires. So these are the Carlisle tires that came with the machine. They're 25-inch tires. I, for a while, was running 27s, but they are too big without a lift. And I did have a lift on it, but if you watch my All Hail the Trail and Axle Fail video, you'll see that it broke the axles. And so I had to bring it back to stock configuration. But Polaris actually has... One of my selling features is you'll see on Can-Am and all the other brands, they don't have this front trunk. And Polaris does. And the front trunk for me is less baggage I have to kind of configure and make work. Now, because I made the bumper too big, this lid, the hood, does not just stand on its own. So I just put a little bungee. But I did another video that talks about what I pack on board. Of course, you have to have your pork rinds, but I have just the basic stuff that I don't want to crush or don't want to get wet in here on the left side and then on the right side. So if you come over here, I have all the things that, and I had a video called onboard packing, what I pack. So I have all the things that I carry for my emergency GPS, a little hatchet, various straps, tools, first aid kits, and this little bag right here. Trash bags for both. And if you watched the Jason video with the 10 essential things to pack, it talks about the importance of trash bags, not for just litter, but ponchos and shelter and other things that can kind of help you survive being out here. I have an ATV Logic saddlebag on the right hand side. I carry paper for me to keep notes right here. I keep maps of the areas that I ride most commonly. I put my insurance and registration, and just mainly this is a pouch where if anything important needs to happen, it comes out of this bag. And when I say important, it's just mainly outside of an emergency. So I keep notes of roads that we're on, like forest roads. It gets really easy to get turned around out here. And so, I'll keep very easy notes so I can always refer back. This has a back seat, which I'll show you on Crazybear's machine. I opted to take mine off for this ride because I put the cooler, my Pelican cooler, in the dog carrier. And today I don't have B with me. We thought we would leave her behind. Mainly she got a bath yesterday and got all groomed, and last thing I want to do is bring her back out here and get dirty again. And then I have various things like tripods. So it's not part of the machine, but I'm just showing you how I'm using it. It's a simple REI from REI Ultra Pod 2 or 3, and it has a little kickstand. But what I like about it the most is I can put my GoPro in here, up here, and it mounts straight to my dog carrier, so that way I can take video of the dogs, or forward view or side view or however I want. And then I have the dog carrier, and then all the stuff I carry. So a little bit more on the vehicle itself. It has independent suspension. So Honda, for instance, likes to have a straight axle suspension, which keeps the vehicle. It's pretty useful for if you're on a farm, because if you put a big load on it, it's sharing a suspension, so it's not going to want to lean as easily. So if you put something up on it, but when you're out on the trails, a single axle suspension does beat you up, because you have basically a shock arm like this and the axle like this. So if it pushes, it's all at once versus independently going up and down. Because it's certified, and the reason why I got the touring is, even if I'm a single rider, I like to have passengers, but even if I'm a single rider, I actually recommend the touring for multiple reasons. And the big one is it gives you a longer stance on the machine. So it's like 118 inches long, whereas the single seaters are shorter. The longer stance allows you to carry more weight, more luggage, more people, more things, especially for the types of rides we have. The shorter means you don't have the balance happening, so that way you can't put very many heavy things on the back or very many heavy things on the front without losing performance. From a power perspective, it does just fine. And then the engine, we're going to come over to Crazybear's. The engine has exhaust braking system. So if you're running the vehicle and you're going downhill, you just let go of the throttle and the engine will give you a brake, almost like a Jake brake on a semi truck. And then it has the belt cover. So the belt goes through here, and then in the back, since Crazybear doesn't have a dog carrier, I'm going to show a couple of the things. But you have the basic setup. You have a trailer hitch receiver. So Crazybear likes to be crazy and put a 30-pound receiver on it, but which means that it's actually rated to tow, and I believe the rated to tow on the back axle, and it's tow weight, not overall tow capacity, but its tow push down from right here is 128 pounds. So that means you can put 128 pounds and the vehicle will stay stable, and then the trailer itself. So you can tow quite a bit with one of these. So you have a 2-inch hitch, you can move a trailer with it, or a boat. You have right here is your sway bar. You have adjustable shocks in the back. Now, they're not as slick as the higher end machines where you have a dial. You actually have to pull a wrench to do it, which is like a big U wrench or U wrench that looks like a old oil filter wrench. You have to do that, and it's a little bit more cumbersome, but the basic setup and settings are actually really nice, because as we have it sitting now, it's sitting kind of low, but the suspension is nice and soft, so as you're riding, you're not jarring. If you have a secondary person, you want to stiff it up. So if, let's say I had Crazybear on the back of my machine, which I have a video, I'll see if I can't put it in, where I have a 6'7" gentleman riding on the back of mine. I had to stiffen up the suspension, but it ran just fine. No problems. Enough power, enough suspension. And then you have your back trunk here, and you have full lights. They're not LED, they're bulbs. So the big difference between mine and Crazybear's is he has the aftermarket tires on them. So, and these are called pit bulls. They're super aggressive. You have about an inch tread on each tire, on the back and on the front. There has a wider stance. I believe these are still 25-inch tires. But as you can see with the tread, we're getting kind of close. But it's the max I've found on these machines is 25-inch. So if you ever have to look that up and figure that out, 25 inches is the where to go. Control mechanisms. So they're identical. So this is a 2018. I have a 2016. You have your light selector here. So you have low and high. You have your speedo reverse override, engine cutoff, and then two-wheel drive, all-wheel drive. It's not a true four-wheel drive. So you have no lockers to lock, but it does a great job. I've not actually been in a situation where it didn't work well. And then you have your speedometer, and it has an information system on the front. So you have your mileage, and you can do a tripometer. So you can do trip meters on it, and you can see how much, what the temperature of the engine is. So I don't know if you can see that, but you can see what the temperature of the engine right now. So right now it's 123 degrees Fahrenheit. We've been riding. This is your DC voltage, so it's a 110. So right now he's feeding 110, or I'm sorry, 11.3, not 110, 11.3 volts, and it's direct current. You have maintenance, so he has 64.4 miles before his next scheduled maintenance. The little wrench is mainly oil change. So when they say maintenance versus oil change, it means maintenance is just check the vehicle, make sure everything is tight and it's lubed. The little wrench means you need oil change, so he's actually half a mile away from an oil change requirement. And then he has kilometers here, which we're going to have to change, but this is the overall mileage on the machine. So that gives you an idea of everything that's on here. Now it's pre-plumbed with some warning lights. Sorry, it has your engine light. It has your directionals. So if you had blinkers, it has high beam, neutral, power steering alarm, and overheating alarm. Now the difference between this one and mine is this one also has power steering. And the power steering is called what's called a electronic hydraulic power steering. And if down in, it's going to be a tight shot. I don't know if you can get it. But down in here you have your power steering module. It's that little gray can looking thing. And what that does is it just directionally creates pressure hydraulically in the can to move your tires. It doesn't actually have a hydraulic feed like you see on rock crawlers. And then everything else is aftermarket. So the one thing that I want to showcase, this has been a tradition in our Yoro, is having horns. We can communicate with each other and move slow elk out of the way. But Crazybear found this horn, and it's a different sound. So if I hear that in the mountain, I know he's communicating something to me, and then it's up to me to figure out what it is. And then here on the right, on the left, is a 12-volt jack. And if you notice on mine, I'll show you in a moment, I actually removed that and put two USB charger ports, as well as you have an option of putting one right here. And this is Crazybear's lights. So Crazybear has the rack extension, which is this bar here, and there's one in the back. And this is aftermarket, but these are made by Polaris. The list price on them are about $129. And let me turn off the light. And but it is something that's very useful because it prevents things from wanting to slide around. He has the same type of trunk inside. Very, it's waterproof sealed, and it does really well. He has a bag that he hangs from here, and they aftermarkets will put hooks or little grommets that you can screw them in. And for the most part, that's everything. We both have winches. So this is a Polaris winch. I think it's 4,000, so or 2,400. I forget how Polaris calls them, but here I can see. Oh, it's the Polaris 2,500. So it's rated for 2,500 pounds of pure straight pull, and you have your release brake on the right side. You have all your connectors on the release gear on your left, connectors on your right, and then just a simple winch. Now, Crazybear bought the ATV with a winch on it. I highly recommend the one I got, which is about half the price, and it's actually a 3,600 pound capacity. It's made by Super Winch, and it's it's a winch. It does the same thing, but I have the release gear and I can pull it out. But it gives you more capacity, half the price. The only drawback is mounting plates for the Polaris are hard to find. There's very few brands out there. So if you're interested, let me know and I'll tell you where to find one that works in this type of configuration. But at the end of the day, we all have our machines. We all love to use them for looking cool, jacking them up, putting road tires, do whatever you want on them. Ultimately, as you can see, it doesn't really take a lot of configuration, aftermarket configuration, to do what we do. The bumper was more of a build project. I got a welder and I wanted to try to build something, so I built the bumper. But and it's handy to have because it does beat down the brush. But everything you see, we're not talking more than maybe $400 or $500 worth of aftermarkets that we've put on here, and without the dog carrier. And that dog carrier is very specific. And I as well have a horn. So what started all was my son gave me a horn, and for I think it was my birthday or Father's Day, and it just kind of started piling on our. Quick recap: the 570 Touring Sportsman is designed and engineered for 2 passengers. If you have a regular Polaris Sportsman and you get a bag that has a seat built in it, and that's your second passenger seat, it's technically illegal. It's technically dangerous. The vehicle's not engineered for that. So I recommend, at least spending, I think it's an extra $800 for the touring package, so you can get that second seat, because you could always remove it if you're not using it and have it just like what Crazybear has right here. Because as a second passenger, putting your butt cheeks here, having your back on here, and having armrests and then footrests gives the passenger all the control they need, so that way they're not, holding on for dear life as you're, going through the mountain range. Other than that, this is we were asked what do we ride, and I wanted to explain, very, very, for the most part, these machines were picked with some thought in them, and they are our favorite machines. You guys have a great day. Thank you for everything.
I have a question.
Yo, you have a question? We got a question from the audience.
What about that cargo extension thing on that?
Oh, the cargo extension thing. Great you asked that. So we have a video posted on the cargo extension that Crazybear built, and he built this in, with everything that you can pretty much get from big box hardware stores. But I can tell you, it's pretty sturdy. And what it did is it added, because if you measured from the back of the seat, and so if you come on over here, I'll show you something. This seat has a flex to it. I don't know if you can see that. And it's made for rider comfort. So as you're moving up and down, instead of being rigid and you're, being held in, it has a little bit of flex. So what he did is he built a cargo extension rack that took it from approximately, I think it's 11 inches from the flex point to the end, which doesn't give you much, to adding from here to here, I would say 24 inches, 26 inches in total. So now he's able to put this here, put his chairs and everything else that he has, and it's solid enough where he can put tie down straps and ratchet it down to a very high tension, and it's not flimsy. And all that's holding on are these 2 U-bolts on each side, and I believe, yeah, they're on each side. And so just to remove these U-bolts and the plate would make it so much easier just to make it modular.
This person must have been a genius.
Yeah, he's a genius. So, you know, at the end of the day, we have a purpose for these machines. They're tools. They're tools just like a hammer would be. You know, you can go buy a wood hammer for $5 and build a hammer and nails, or if you do it for a living, you're going to spend, you know, $20-$30 and get something that's more geared to what your use is. The point I'm making is spend a little bit of extra money to get what you're looking for, but I would never tell anybody who's never had an ATV to go buy a Polaris Sportsman 1000 or a 1000 of any brand. It's a lot of machine to handle. These things get heavier, and as it stands, the dry weight on this machine is over 700 pounds. So if you think about it, you get it on its side, or you get in a topsy-turvy situation and you have 700 pounds, one person cannot muscle this. Whereas my Honda, I could literally pick up the back of the machine. It had a total dry weight of 400 pounds. So again, the point of this walk around is not only to talk about what the machine is, but to give you a little bit of thought process into why you choose something. You know, I may be in another year be driving a 1000 cc, but I have 10 years of experience and 6,000 miles on it. So at the end of the day, I really appreciate you taking the time and asking these questions. We had a viewer ask about our machines and wanted to do a walk around, and we're trying to do what is being asked. And so if you have any other questions, all you have to do is subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment, and I will reply as quickly as possible. So we're on our trail, so we're going to go back to it, and I really appreciate you watching, and you have a great day. Crazybear, anything else?
Thank you for showing, for coming.
Okay. Well, have a great day. Happy trails.